My ex-girlfriend wants to get back together months after telling me that we wouldn't be able to make our relationship work, and I have tried and started to move on. I'll just preface this by saying this is my first Reddit post I've actually ever made, so if I mess up a little with the rules/formatting etc. then I do apologize. A little background to start off. I currently live in the UK while my ex-girlfriend, who this post is about, lives in the US. This was not easy, especially given that she has a young child from a previous relationship, but it was manageable. Thankfully I have a somewhat well-paid job that is flexible with vacation time and such, and so I can afford to travel like this usually, and I would go over to see her every few months and we would video call etc. pretty much every day and talk for most of the day too until a few months back. A few months ago, my current ex-girlfriend told me that she did not think we should stay together anymore because of a few reasons. These reasons were that she has a young child who will be starting to go to school soon and she will be getting a full-time job as soon as that happens so that she can support them as much as she can, and she doesn't see how our relationship could get through that, as we wouldn't be able to talk much at all due to her being busy and also the difference in time zones. We were lucky at the time that she could take an hour or so out of her day so we could call and have some laughs together or watch a movie or something, but she made it clear that this would not happen at all once she got her job. She stated that she is not anywhere she wants to be in life right now and that she has a lot of work to do on herself and she wants to be focused fully on her kid. She also said that she didn't see how we could grow as a couple when we are living so far apart, and that it is almost impossible for us to truly get to know each other, and that we are both so young and at uncomfortable ages, and that she wants us to figure ourselves out more before we take on such a complex relationship with a child involved. I cannot lie. This hurt me. A lot. It all sort of came out of the blue. Yes, she seemed more distant, and I tried asking her what was wrong or if there was anything the matter, but she always shrugged it off until she came out with this. I felt at a loss for quite some time and struggled to get over it, especially because this was just a few weeks before she was meant to come to the UK to meet all of my family. Even though it hurt me a lot, I accepted it. Her reasons were all valid and I couldn't turn round and tell her I didn't agree with them because they all made sense, and I had told her since we started the relationship that her child should always come first and before me, no matter what. So, I accepted what she had said and decided that, as hard as it was, I had to move on because we were over. We still talked almost every day but nowhere near as much as we used to. The calls stopped completely and straight away, but we texted, and her replies took on average a few hours per reply. No big deal, we aren't together anymore but we are still there for one another, there's no bad blood or anything between us. Around 4 months down the line now and I have started to move on from what happened between me and my ex-girlfriend, even though it still hurts. I met up with a woman and a few other male friends who I used to work with at a previous job. So, we started talking more regularly and she told me she was having a bad time with her boyfriend, so I simply told her I would be there for her if she ever needed anything or someone to talk to, as we had always been friends since we first met. Me and this woman have been talking much more now, and one night her and the other male work friends came over to my place for some drinks and pizza. They all went home at the end of the night except for one male friend and the woman, who both decided to stay the night as they had too much to drink to drive home. Me and this woman then ended up sharing a bed, and one thing led to another, and well, you can sort of imagine the rest. I feel awful because of this, because at the time, she was still with her boyfriend, but it didn't cross my mind that anything with my ex-girlfriend would be affected by this. I mean, we are no longer together anymore and I start to think, hey, maybe I like this woman, and she tells me that she thinks she's starting to like me too. A few days later I started getting more and more texts from my ex with replies around 1 minute after I've sent her a message. I thought, well, this is odd. She hasn't replied to me like this since we broke up, at which point came a message that essentially read that she was so angry with herself for pushing me away and she did it so that she wouldn't get hurt because she's terrified of commitment, that she understands that she has hurt me but never meant to do so, and understands if I never want anything to do with her again. She kept telling me how sorry she was and that I did not deserve any of her baggage from her previous relationships. followed by another message that essentially is asking for forgiveness and for us to get back together. I really don't know how to respond to this or what to do. I once again understand where she is coming from with all of this, but if that was the case, she should have told me from the start, and the last few months would never have happened and we could have gotten through it together, but instead she gave me a good list of reasons why we should not be together. The thing is, a part of me does want to take her back, but I do not know if we could ever go back to the way we were before, and even if we could, the same reasons that she gave for why we shouldn't be together would still stand. If I took her back, would everything that happened before just happen again further down the line with her issues of commitment? I'm also not sure as to if I should tell her about the other woman I had gotten intimate with after we broke up. I do not feel morally wrong for it in this regard, but I do not want to hurt my ex, as I do still care about her. Comment. If it were me, I wouldn't take her back. Like you mentioned, this could happen again. Any of her commitment issues, or any issues, should have been communicated with you. I'd continue to move on and not look back. Yup, you're starting to moving on and you don't need to reopen and wound. You're right, if she was having commitment issues back then, it could resurface later down the road. Keep walking forward and don't look back. Next story 2. My boyfriend is around a previous crush too much for my comfort. Let me start by saying I am normally not at all a jealous girlfriend, and feel really guilty for my jealousy. My boyfriend and I are both juniors in college, with different majors, but up until this semester have always had at least one class together. I am also graduating a year early, so I think part of my jealousy stems from insecurity about him still being here next year when I won't be. Prior to us dating, there was a girl he had a lot of classes with that he has since told me he had a huge crush on, even though she was, and still is, in a long-distance relationship. I remember when we first started dating, he invited me to study for an exam with them on a few occasions, and always felt she was extremely flirty, even with me in the room. This semester, he and I don't have any classes together, but this girl is in every single one of his. Understandably they study together, but I feel like recently it's been a little extreme. It's the start of the semester, so they haven't had any tests or quizzes, and seek to always be together or on the phone. The other day, he completely ignored my texts and calls for 4 hours and later said he was on the phone to her the whole time working out a problem they were given in class. As it's a class I've already taken, I offered to help next time, and he declined. We've been spending significantly less time together this semester because of this, and while I don't necessarily think he's cheating, it's hard when I know there was previous attraction and he has blatantly said before that she is more of his type than I am. I'm nervous to bring it up because I feel unjustified, and we have recently had conversations about him hurting my feelings, and though he listened and seemed sorry that he was making me feel badly about myself, instead of apologizing just brushed it off as me being more sensitive to his comments about me due to my own insecurities. I know that to resolve this I need to bring it up to him, but where do I start? Comment. Having had several crappy college relationships with men, I would say go with your gut. Confront him in a controlled setting, don't let yourself get too emotional, and try to stick to facts rather than feelings. It feels like you're ignoring me for her is not a solid ground to stand on, but you guys were together for hours is something that actually happened. Know your worth. Okay. I don't think it's understandable that a guy in a committed relationship actively seeks out time with someone else he has said he had a massive crush on. You are supposed to be his priority and he has brushed off your hurt feelings. I think it's a red flag and you should pay attention to that. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but I really do have your best interests at heart. He's ignoring you but not her. I don't think this is insecurity. He's not behaving like a good man or a good boyfriend. It's not throwing anything away. That sentence keeps people in relationships far too long. You loved. You created memories, and I think you know this isn't forever. You learned. We've all, us elders, have been exactly where you are. You are going to be great. It takes time, but please believe me when I say that staying longer just because you have time invested isn't usually the way to go. It's far better to go before it gets ugly. Take the lessons and the memories and know that you're going to be okay. And someday, it will be forever and you'll be grateful for this period of your life. I'm rooting for you and I really do believe that you will find that person and you will be grateful for this experience. Is it worth it to confront him? He is sending you all the signals you need. If you do talk to him, tell him to be honest with you, that you deserve that.